We are going to take a closer look at one of the strongest international business, the Hong Kong Biomedical Hub, which leads the field in Asia, are coming with us. We are waiting. Gregory Rall, he's Senior Manager of Innovation and Technology at InvestHK Berlin. He's coming. First one here. No, first one there. Fernando de la Cal González, Deputy Head Investment Promotion at InvestHK in Brussels. InvestHK makes possible this panel. And thank you for being here with us. And,
thank you very much for having us today, and thank you to all the attendees to come to this session. We'll be trying to share our views on what Hong Kong can, which role Hong Kong can play in your business, in the business development of the biotech companies in Spain when they think about Asia.
Perfect.
So, actually, in the current environment, with all the tensions between China, especially the US, etc., it seems that culturally speaking and socially speaking, Asia, it feels that it's very far, right, from Spain. But in reality, and I can talk from experience because I've been living in Asia for 10 years already. Also, Gregory has been there in Japan, in my case, China, Hong Kong. We see a lot of similarities, especially in the case of Hong Kong, with an aging population, also from the perspective of how society takes care of the elderly is very similar to especially to the Latin countries, not that much to the Anglo-Saxon countries. And also in terms of culture, also a very old culture. And in terms of what's going on in biotech, is also very exciting what's happening in Hong Kong and in China and in Asia. And we see also in this event that a lot of innovations are also happening here in Spain. So that's why we are here today, trying to build this bridge between Spain and Asia, Asia through Hong Kong. And again, when you think about Hong Kong, you should think about it as a launchpad for the rest of Asia. Hong Kong is only 7.5 million people, so it's a small, relatively small market, although in terms of financial services and as a financial hub is the third worldwide. But when you think about Hong Kong and when we help companies, not only biotech companies, to go to Hong Kong, it's because they are developing other markets there, especially China. Of course, the connection between Hong Kong and China is very strong, but not only. Far East Asia, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, etc. A lot of companies manage those markets from Hong Kong with the regional hub there. Geographically, it's very convenient. There are also a lot of, the connectivity is very well developed through the airport, through also in terms of logistics, maritime, etc. So it's the perfect place to set up your regional hub. How can we help you to do that? We are government, all our services are free, of course, and we help you in all your with all your plans to expand into Asia. So we, from early stages, we can provide all the information about whether there is a market for your innovation, for your technology, for your product there, and then with all the practicalities related to how to set up a company there is, of course, very easy. In 8 days, you can have your Hong Kong Limited ready, and in a very short time, you can be already operative in the market. And we have also our sector teams. That's why we have Gregory here today, who is going to give you much more in-depth information about biotechnology. I'm not an expert, he is. And that way we can also offer like a personalized support for in this case, for biotech companies. We help any kind of companies. We have been helping, I don't know, La Caixa or La Liga or big companies from Spain that you can think about, but also smaller scale-ups to open the market there in Hong Kong. Some of the, very briefly, some features about Hong Kong that you may know. Of course, in Hong Kong, there is an independent jurisdiction from China. So it's the one country, two systems, meaning there is the rule of law based on common law. So in terms of IP protection, is the best place to have your IP in Asia. Many times when people think about expanding into China, that's one of the biggest concerns. It's also the main arbitration hub in Asia. So when you think, hopefully you don't come to any commercial dispute with your customers in China, in other countries in Asia, but if this happens, Hong Kong is the perfect place to solve them. And as I was saying, of course, excellent accessibility to the rest of the countries. And now also one new initiative from the Chinese government. Greg will elaborate a bit more later, but it's called the Greater Bay Area. Here we hear a lot on the news about the Belt and Road Initiative, the Silk Road, etc. But this may be, together with the Belt and Road, the most important economical development of the Chinese government. Is basically connecting Hong Kong, Macau, and 9 cities in the Canton province, improving the cooperation between these 3 different jurisdictions, because Macau is also a different jurisdiction. And this is creating a lot of initiatives, also in biotech. Again, Greg will give more details later, to facilitate the access from Hong Kong and Macau to China mainland, right? And then in terms of fundraising, this is what the session of today is about. And Hong Kong is a huge financial market, #1 in IPO for biotechs worldwide. So there is a lot of money. Now the question is how to access that money, right? We hope we can help you with that. And with that, I will pass the word to my colleague, Greg, who will elaborate a bit more in what Hong Kong can offer for biotechs.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Thank you so much for being here and giving you an outline now about the biomedical life science activities in Hong Kong. So to make a short introduction, I'm German and started my career in Germany. And then I lived 10 years in Japan and Asia, and then I learned on the job what is going on in Asia and so on. And therefore, when I had talks at the conference, the last days, I saw many talented people and companies, but there was always a question about, yeah, maybe that's too far. But when I give you now an outline, you can see many similarities about the setup of a cluster, about the regulatory, etc. And then I want to invite you later for a discussion how we can help you to land properly in Hong Kong. So when I introduce you to the biomedical development in Hong Kong, it's like a value chain. So we cover, of course, the areas of basic research, preclinical, clinical trials to the market. And therewith, we also have comprising several institutes, basic research institutes, and hospitals and companies working along this value chain. So this means, regardless that you are a pharma, biotech, or a CRO, you would like to tap into the system, then we can talk, where can you find your clients, how can you go into this hub, how can we help you, maybe with funding or networking, introduce it to key opinion leaders. That would be very grateful for us. And you see the last part to the market is again something with the financial hub. As Fernando said, we are the 3rd largest financial hub in the world after New York and London, but recently Hong Kong became very leading as a biotech IPO destination in the world, because when we are close to the proximity to China, it means also there's a certain push and pull effect with China. When I came to Asia in 2004, and I worked for Japanese cluster, we traveled very often to China. We were very amazed what you can find there in China, for example, in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Suzhou. So many Chinese people, they studied in America, coming back to China, and they called them haigui, this means sea turtle. And then they became the leading managers for pharma, mega pharma. They created CROs, CMOs, a very vibrant biomedical ecosystem in China. And now we have so promising companies, you know, like Fosun, etc. and so on. Now they created other companies like TigerMed, went for several billions Hong Kong dollars, IPO. And now the people talk about this, how can we join? So we have also European examples in Hong Kong for IPO, but I think the lesson is now, let's go to Spain and embrace the talents and companies and we would like to discuss with you how can we help you to access the financial market of Hong Kong. So as a healthcare system, I think Hong Kong is it's a very good system, but similar like also in the European communities, so with the public and private part. So we have public and private hospitals, and then we have also regulation when you want to come with your company and your products. So because of the harmonization, you can make an easy approach to Hong Kong that you can sell your products in our region. And Fernando mentioned also aging society, so this is very good. I think similar to Spain, people live long, they have good food, a good environment, all is good. But it's also kind of a burden, if I may say, for the silver population. So people will not live 200 years, but we want that they have in the last years a very good life. And this is maybe my conclusion later. How can we work together to find, working on common problems to find common solutions? So clinical trial centers are very important. This is made by my colleague. He made the slide. Of course, he wrote leading clinical trial center, but when you come to Hong Kong, we are not so narrow-minded. We would say we welcome you in Hong Kong. You can operate because of IP protection and the superiority of standards and services, but you will enlarge your activities in Asia, so you can make clinical trials in Japan and actually also in South Korea and in mainland China. So this is again about clinical trial hub. So you have all the hospitals. We have all the promising, prominent CROs present in Hong Kong, and we have also preclinical CROs present. This is of course a kind of another value chain of the healthcare system and activity in Hong Kong. Of course, it's about prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and rehabilitation. But why we're talking now at this conference about precision medicine, personalized medicine it's the now and future, talking more about this kind of new tools, medical AI, big data. What can we do for monitoring that the people are not collapsing, that we have a better health in our society? These are examples for diagnostic companies and analytics. So this is what I just triggered, is the question, how can we optimize these tools? Normally, we talk about the common therapeutic areas, we make drug candidates and so on, but now you have many tools based on medical AI, where we talk about deep learning, big data, how we can make cohort studies about healthy volunteers and not healthy, and make a kind of study, how can we improve for the self-optimization. Normally, we as a private person, we have like a wearable and so on, and how can we optimize? But I think in the future, the second market of this kind of health system, like, the companies like Google and so counting this kind of data, will go maybe to the first market. So maybe the future will be that the insurance say the persons who optimize themselves, they will also be rewarded for the health insurance. This is again the same point, but I was very overwhelmed. I read a book for the German person. He lived in Silicon Valley for 20 years. And then he told me in this book, I was not talking to him directly, that he said, why all these IT companies are into health industry, like the Google and Facebook. So everything is about the future of personalized medicine and the data. So, and with these kind of medical AI tools, like, this analysis and algorithm, I think we can also optimize from now and in the future drug discovery and drug development activities. Now we have a very promising company within silico medicine. They actually, they were founded in America and they moved to Hong Kong with their headquarters, and now embracing all the activities in the Asian region, doing new projects. So, and this is now another slide from my colleague. He called Pharma Revolution Hong Kong. It's not only about pharma, it's about institutes collaborating with us. Here it's about the topic of stem cell innovation. When we talk about stem cell innovation, I learned this first in Japan, and then I worked for a cluster of Kobe, and we were connected to the Kyoto University, where Dr. Shinja Yamanaka got the Nobel Prize for the IPS technology. So now we have a new methodologies and working areas in the stem cell research regarding regenerative medicine. It's not about healing or making new skin or organs, but actually also platform technology for drug discovery, drug development, but also maybe you heard about the topic organoids. So maybe with the new tools of making bioprinting and organoids with a matrix, maybe we can reduce also animal tests for the clinical trials. This is very promising in the future. This is our Hong Kong Genomic project. This is, of course, like similar. I heard there's also a similar project in northern Spain that you have studies with many people. We have now 2,000 cases. We will enlarge to 18,000 cases to have a better understanding about the disease and what can we do in the future in the research activities. This is just some examples of European companies already placed in Hong Kong. My client is the company Medical CI. They are doing a health app. It's just also for self-optimization, but they started this application because several people, they went to the doctor in Austria, they are from Austria, and said, okay, the doctor said what I have, but I couldn't really understand what he was writing, you know? And then they make a kind of like a platform that every client can understand their own data, what it means. And in the future, you can give it to the expert for the further diagnosis. They're doing actually very well, and they enlarge now to China over the Greater Bay Area. This I will explain you in detail in a moment. So fundraising capital, this is the topic of today, I assume. And as Fernando mentioned, that we became a leading IPO for the biomedical companies. And this has also certain advantages because, as you know, Hong Kong was established like over 100 years ago, also from the British persons. So they always wanted to have a kind of special legal system, special banking system, a special financial hub system, because the British person, they made a lot of trade in Asia, as you know. And since that time, the stock exchange in Hong Kong is really leading in Asia. Not even Shanghai can replicate this or other centers. So talking about that, you see now cases. I just talk about this graph where you see this biotech chapter 18A listing requirements. 18A is a new approach because the Hong Kong exchange, HKEX, created a biotech chapter 4 years ago and created this 18A listing. This is a kind of pre-revenue listing approach. So this means this is more the science, the technology, and the team important, but you could actually start already thinking IPO, and we will help you to go this journey. This is just an example from the IPO. This is the company TigerMed. It's the leading Chinese CRO and went for billions of Hong Kong dollars in public in Hong Kong. And then there comes a topic. Actually, the speaker after me will talk about Spark. I think it's called a special purpose acquisition company. This is a new method, a new path where you don't need underwriters. And this means when you normally go, when you make the initial public offering, you have to have a special board with underwriters, and later there's a kind of trade-off that they get to certain percentages. Some companies are really like very mature, like a unicorn stage, that they say, we have the connection. I think we go the Spark journey. So you could create a kind of special purpose company. They do the fundraising, they do this kind of preparation for Spark. And later this leading company like Prenix, a unicorn company, create a merger, as you can see in this announcement. And they went Spark for $1.7 billion US. It's very astonishing. These are just like 2 slides now from our partners, Deep Knowledge Group from London. And this is a kind of testimonial that they checked our systems, say it's very, very unique, very customized for biotech companies. So you have a lot of market cap and you have a value of 12 billion going IPO. And then we also discussed a little bit what is about Spark worldwide. It's not only about Hong Kong, China, Asia. If you see the graph here, 2016, worldwide we had only 13 Spark activities. Now we have over 744. And this is now a topic we also follow in Hong Kong, how we can make a new regulation set to support for safety landing in Hong Kong. These are just the advantages of IPO and Spark. I will just jump over because of the time, I think. And I just add this slide because when we talk about Spain, it's about longevity potential. This means living long, living good, and so on. And I think the reach out to you is like, how can we work together? Can you share your story, your company, what you think about Asia? How can we merge two ecosystems together to find new solutions? Greater Bay Area, I'm very short, this is a snapshot. These are 11 centers or cities with a population of 70 million. So when you place in Hong Kong, we make now a new set, working together with other centers in the Greater Bay Area, that you can also transfer biomaterial, that you can easily commute there and hire talents in the greater region. These are just the advantages. It's a pool of talents and funds and skills. And this is just the science park. I will also skip here slides because it's a very huge cluster with 350 biomedical companies where you can find a lot of variety of support services. We have actually specific incubation funds, non-dilutive. If you're interested in the IncuBio program, it will be a program for 6 million Hong Kong dollars. This means 650,000 euro, non-dilutive for 3 years, if you have interest to make exploration work in Hong Kong. These are just the campuses and the labs. If you want to utilize, you can rent this on demand. You can talk to the network. You can get many facilities on for your growth in Hong Kong, Asia. Yes, these are about the incubation programs, but it's also about the subsectors we have in the biomedical sector with diagnostic therapeutics, medical devices, and TCM means traditional Chinese medicine, and this is very famous in Asia. This you can also approach if you are into functional food. So this is the value chain, as you know, also in your clusters, the city and company is going from the bench to the bedside. This is just a very quick overlook. We make a new park now in Shenzhen. It's the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation Technology Park. So talking to Hong Kong, placing in Hong Kong, this is very good, but we are not narrow-minded. We would say, working with us, working with the Science Park in Hong Kong, but you can also place, in addition, in Shenzhen for the greater operation and acquiring talents and lab space. This is just some figures and facts about the size. Several things are larger in China. It's very impressive. And this we want to expect now what we do. It's not only biomedicals, but we also go in the AI and robotics area. Summary is we can help you with the planning and landing in Hong Kong. And you tap into our biomedical value chain. And you're very in the center of Asia. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Want to drink your water?
Thank you, Gregory and Fernando, for bringing us Asia to Pamplona this morning. Also, thank you for the time. We stop just 2 minutes and we'll be back with the next panel. Thank you.